Okay, so the next thing you need to see that we've done or completed is the engine. So I think the last time we showed you this, it was on the engine stand over there.
Yeah.
And we hadn't quite finished it. The rocker cover wasn't on. And there was a few less components on it, but it was pretty much built. The clutch and flywheel wasn't on, but that's all fitted now. So this is now ready for us to install and ready to wire up and start making the engine harness. All we've got to do is get it in the car. So, like I said, we've done a little bit on this before. There's not really dramatic change here. It's just a case of, it really is now just a case of putting it in the hole. But if you come over here, James, come on, because you need to have, you know, some of this stuff is a little bit technically interesting. Whether you're technically interested or not, I don't know. So yeah, before the cam cover wasn't on, and I've had all this repainted and looking lovely. There is another cover that goes over this, but
you've got the engine.
Oh yeah, they're just lifting chains, and look, they're, you know, it's very technical. A couple of old exhaust brackets, you know, to do that. In actual fact, when we put the engine in, we do actually have a proper.
Yeah, you've got a stand.
Yeah, so we can dip it in and adjust it. This was just literally to get it off of the engine stand. The other things to note, which are quite cool, is the clutch and flywheel are now on, which we can't put on. So that's got a TTV flywheel. Sorry, TTV clutch.
Is that a brand, TTV?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, TTV's a brand. And then it's got a paddle clutch in it. Interesting enough, if you do find this in, that's the same clutch setup that I put in Auto Alex's car.
There we go.
Yeah.
That will be it. Yeah, because that was interesting.
Yeah, well, you know, but I'm actually hoping that, I am going to burn Auto Alex up. That's exactly what I'm going to do. So, you know, he didn't quite spend the budget that I've done. So if I don't burn him up, I'll be disappointed. So Alex, I'm coming for you. You know, a bit like the Drive Tribe boys are, all the rest of it. You know. Unfortunately, what's now going to happen is Mike Fernie's going to go like this. I'm going to be there, and you're probably going to be back there somewhere, unless you come back and spend a bit more dough. But anyway, we'll wait and see what happens. You know, let's not over-egg it.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, maybe I already have over-egged it. You know.
There's a challenge. There's a challenge.
Therein lies the next challenge. Anyway, right.
As
usual, we digress.
Yes, same clutch setup.
Same clutch setup as Alex.
And the flywheel,
and the flywheel and all the rest of it. So the major differences are between Alex has got the same crankshaft pulley.
Yeah.
So i.e. spinning up the same amount of air pushing through the supercharger. But we've got a slightly larger electronic throttle body. And the normal induction of path of air would come from the throttle body down here, up into there to there, and then off to the air filter setup. We're not going to do that. We're going to take it literally straight off of the back of there. We're going to bypass all this stuff here, so it's a better airflow, and we're going to duct it straight in and make some pipe work for the air intake. But again,
and I can, for those, I mean, I'll overlay some additional photos, but we talked about in the last video the throttle body which sits underneath there and how that's been upgraded for this particular engine owing to the issues before.
Okay, so
you mentioned that in the last video. You did mention that.
Yeah, standard throttle body 73mm, something like that. I think I'd need to get my micrometer out to, also my verniers out to measure it. And this one's 82, 83.
Okay,
like
and there's also some.
And actually, I did say that this throttle body was off of an XK 4.2.
That's correct.
Yeah, I know, but I was wrong. Right. It is a Bosch throttle body.
You mean Bosch as in Bosch? Or do you...
Bosch
Have it.
As in the brand.
Yeah, I appreciate
and it looks basically identical to an XK throttle body, but apparently it's not. It's off of a Porsche. Apparently.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, Cayenne, I think it was, or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
what was Alex again in terms of power? Can you remember off the top of your head?
Alex, right, okay, so we were on the dyno next door, which is a little bit different. So the dyno next door doesn't give estimated power figures at the engine, it only gives rear wheel figures. And rear wheel was 275, was it? Something like that?
Is it that? Like, yeah, it probably was. I think it was. It was.
Originally, these are 322. Was it 2? Was it really?
It was 322. Remember we had this on the part
Yeah,
one?
we did, didn't we? Yeah.
322.
So 322 at the flywheel.
Right, so this is at the wheel.
So 275 at the rear wheel. By the time you're taking the losses into account and all the rest of it, you're going to be 320, 330, something on those sorts of lines, give or take. Yeah. So it was but the one thing we did get from changing the pulley with Alex's car was we had massive mid-range gain.
That's
huge.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. So if you change, are you going to change? What have you done the pulley on this one?
Yeah, I've used the same pulley. Yeah.
You use the same one.
Yeah, I've used the same one. Yeah, it's from who do I get it off of? I got it off of Lawson Powerhouse.
Okay, so you've got the same.
Yeah, so that's a Powerhouse big boy pulley.
Yeah.
And so that really just spins it up a bit faster. Okay, the negative side of spinning it faster is we create more heat within the supercharger. So the faster you turn the supercharger, the more it heats up the air. The hotter the engine gets, the hotter the air gets. The hotter you put air into the engine, the lower the power. Yes. So what tends to happen with supercharged cars, particularly if you're racing them, is that the heat builds up and builds up, builds up, builds up, and then it gets to a point of saturation where you can't cool it down enough, and that becomes an issue. And then what happens is the engine management ECU goes, actually, you know, this air going in there is really hot, and you can, I mean, when I say you can lose a bit of power, I'm not
100 brake horsepower, can't be as much as that.
Yeah, we've seen it with the race cars. Yeah. Gone over to air-to-air cooling, and it's, you know,
why you get that amazing sort of whisk. It's like that.
You can start off with a car that's got 400-500 brake horsepower, and halfway through the race they've lost 100 horses, and then so they used to go race flying off at the start, and then we'd reel them back in the normally aspirated cars, and we would have a good battle with them, and then ultimately we would end up winning the race. Or not me personally, but other people. But anyway, there you go. But you know, they've refined that, and they've actually the supercharged boys done a really good job with that. And with this air-to-air system they're running now, you know, they've managed to control the temperatures. This is a road car. We're not racing it.
No.
So we are going to stick with the charge cooling. So it's a water-cooled system with the original water-cooled, the water goes in here, and then it's going to go through a radiator, which will mount. So we're not going to be in a situation where we're constantly hammering it like that. You know, at best ultimately we're talking about doing a drag race or something rubbish like that. So we're not going to get that constant build up. So hopefully we won't get the big drop in horses that other people that I know have suffered when they've tried to get the most out of these. So
with all these changes you've made then, are you expecting to be on a par with Auto Alex, or with a fresher engine that's been completely rebuilt, and the changes you've made to things like the throttle body and all that, are you expecting a slightly better outcome than him?
I bloody hope so, James.
You chucked the sheets at it. You chucked the £50 notes at
it. No, I have. I've set fire to some £50 notes and ended up with this. That's what you do. So no.
Alex, also, like you a marginal. Are we taking 10%?
So Alex's was I don't know, done 100 and some odd thousand miles that car. I can't even remember now.
I think it is just over 100,000.
Yeah, and you know, we put the pulley on it and we've done
no, it's a lot more than that, Tom. It's 145, I think.
Was it really? Yeah, I can't remember.
I'll look. If I'm wrong, I'll put it in there, but I think it's more than you think.
Right, okay, fair enough. So this will, with a fresh engine rebuild, which it's all new piston rings.
You can tell it looks spanking, it's brand new, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah,
I've done, you know, this hasn't got new pistons, but it's got new rings, new bearings, new this. So it is, I am going to have to run it in on the dyno. With the pulley, the throttle body and the air intake setup that I'm talking about, I would like to think that we're going to punch at the flywheel.
Okay.
350, 360.
Okay, which is what you estimated at the beginning of the.
Yeah, that was always my plan. So we're looking at a 30 to 40 brake horsepower gain.
Okay, fair enough.
But again, let's not get too over.
And you know what to get. It's not about overall figures, is it?
Top figures are always what I call pub figures.
Yeah, agreed.
Which is, pub figures are great. Because it's like who's got the biggest willy competition, isn't it? It's
Tom, it's a family show.
Yeah, but it's true though, isn't it? That's what we do. We all say, "Oh, I've got 400 brake, or 500," blah blah blah. So it's also about the delivery and the way that it performs.
Of course, it will. Yeah.
So I'm expecting the mid range to be, I'm expecting the mid range to nail it. It's gonna have a ton of torque for this engine. So I'm not so concerned about having, you know, 400 brake horsepower or this.
I understand.
You know, all that sort of stuff.
You want usable power, don't you?
Yeah, I want
usable, deliverable power.
I've got to remember this is a road car. Let's not get too soaked into all that stuff. With the race cars, it's a little bit different what we do. But for a road car, I want to be driving down the dual carriageway or the motorway, or, you know, a fast A road or whatever, like, you know, 30, 40 miles an hour. And I want to be able to put my foot down, and I want it to pump in. And if I want to overtake someone, it's just
a nice dispatch.
Yeah, I'm looking for super delivery, you know, because we're still messing around with a big heavy car.
Yeah, I know, I appreciate
it. Yeah, I don't even, that's one of the things we're going to do actually, is once we've put this power plant in and we've done everything, I'm actually going to stick it on the scales. I want to know what it weighs.
Yeah.
Because I've got no idea.
Predictions?
No idea.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. You know, stupidly, your next question is going to be that how much does it weigh as a standard car?
Yes.
And the answer is I don't know, because I didn't weigh it.
Well, I'll put it in the. I'll put it.
Yeah,
in
yeah. You know,
I'll geek away. I'll find a 1977 brochure from Jaguar Daimler.
Old stats here, we'll find it. Yeah. So,
I'll find it, and
I want to know if it's dry weight or wet weight. All right.
Right. Okay. There we go.
There's a challenge for you.
It sounds like we're talking about the willies again. Right.
Yeah. If you can give me a dry weight and a wet weight, I'll be well impressed.
Right, yeah. There's a challenge for me then.
Yeah, there you go. So,
and equally, if I can't find it, viewers, put it in the description. Put it in the comments below if you can find it. You'll probably find some bloke in America who's got the full back catalogue.
Yeah.
Who knows everything.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
he's shouting at the screen now, going.
I can tell you the bore and stroke and all the rest of it of this engine. I can't tell you the dry or wet weight of that car standard. Anyway, there you go.
Find it. And there would have been a difference, I suppose, between the 4.2 and the V12, wouldn't there?
There will definitely be a difference, because believe you me, that V12 engine weighs an awful lot.
I can imagine.
That's another interesting. That would be another interesting thing, because the original 4.2 engine is a cast iron block with an aluminium cylinder head. Yeah. So does that block weigh more than a V12 block? And I'm only doing this from the fact that I've picked both of them up when they're bare, and the aluminium block is definitely, I'm sure it's heavier than a V12. A V12 block I can lift up easier than a cast iron block.
Okay.
So it's heavy. So is the V12 going to be heavier? Yes. I'll be interested to know what there is in it, actually. It's a good question.
Well, there's a challenge for me. I'll get away and start.
The automatic gearbox is definitely heavier than the manual gearbox that this is having on it.
Okay.
That much I can guarantee you, because I have lifted both of those as well. So, and the V12 gearbox, the old Borg Warner, is just, that's hernia time. So, so there's going to be but we will weigh this car once it's done, so we know what it weighs, and it'll be interesting to work out once we get the power figures in. I always work on power per ton.
Okay.
Horsepower per ton is always a good.
That's a good. It's a good measure. That
it is an excellent measure, because
it's a good equaliser.
Yeah, you start talking about motorbikes and aerial atoms, which we played around. Yeah, the aerial atom, the horsepower per ton's mega.
Yeah.
So horsepower per ton.
It's what Honda Civic people get really excited about as well.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
They get really excited about.
I bet they talk about it down the pub.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, they do. They get very excited having done track days with people like that. They love it. Oh, what's out on the VVT? And they get all excited.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. Right. Yeah. Okay, right. So look, we've spoken about rear axles. We've spoken about engines. The front axle we spoke about last time.
Yeah, we have.
I don't actually have it here. It's down the storage unit out the way, because I'm running out of space for all this stuff. So the next thing we need to talk about is the car.
Right.
Come on.
Right, so I'm just walking around to the engine bay with Tom, and one thing I have noticed, which I thought was down to the light, but me being me and being a bit of a geek with these things, that grey is too dark, isn't it? That's not the original grey, is it?
No, it's not, no. Do you not like it?
I do, I love it. But I'm just, I'm a bit of a sad geek when it comes, you know what I'm like, Tom? I'm the sort of person that downloads period correct colour charts from the... Or when you want me to look for your mark, I got the British Racing Green Jaguar D-type colour for you, didn't I?
Did, yeah.
So I'm a
sucker. Basically black.
Yeah, it is. But I'm a sucker for this sort of stuff. So you got some explain to. And the only reason I'm saying this now is there'll be someone like me that's picked that up and will say it. And so rather than having to write loads of comments as to what you've done,
so what you're asking me is why did we paint it this colour?
Well, first of all, I was right in the fact that it isn't the right colour.
No. I'm going to give you a little... You
right,
need to
1-0. But...
Yeah, you need to give yourself a pat on the back, James. Well spotted.
Yeah, well
I'm impressed.
Geeked. Well geeked.
Yeah. Like I said, you know, you've got credit where credit's due. You know, not everyone would notice that, and you are quite right.
I won't be the only one though, so we're covering it off now to avoid any.
So, what's your actual question? Is why did I paint it this colour?
Yeah, was there a reason? Was there a reason why you went?
There was 2 reasons why I painted it this colour.
Good, right.
Reason number 1 is I like it.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you. I think it is a good colour.
Yeah, and reason number 2 is we had half a pot of it and it didn't cost us nothing. And it was sat there on the shelf.
That's also a good.
Why do I want to go and spend 30, 40, 50 quid on a litre of paint when I've got some perfectly good paint there which cost me nothing?
Make do amend. I like it.
Yeah, and that's the reality of it.
No, and also to be fair to you, it is. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Is that all right?
Yeah, that's all right. Case closed. I'm all right now.
What about the red? Is the red period correct on the lettering?
It definitely isn't.
This took ages to mask up.
I reckon that
is the most labour-intensive part of the whole job, is masking this up and doing the red.
I think that's good. But I've actually overlaid in part 1 of the video, I overlaid a picture of this very engine from the Jaguar brochure from 1995 when they released the XJR. Of
course you did.
And I'll be able to check.
Good.
Did you use a RAL colour or you just did it by eye?
Well, what you need to do now, because you are...
We could have put it back on me.
I am going to put it back on you. Can you find me the accurate, period-correct colour code, paint code, for that cam cover and that lettering? There you go. Now there's a challenge. You know? And I'll tell you what, if you can find it, I might even buy it and change it.
Oh, so it isn't then? You don't think it is?
What do you mean?
That red isn't right then? You just
I don't know. I've got no idea. It was just a pot of red we had on the shelf.
Oh, right. It gets worse. Right.
Well, again, what
did you have?
It's red. It's red.
Mr. Lenthal, I think you're going to get away with it.
I actually think
it's a bit like one of them sort of. It just shows it's got a little bit of.
Yeah.
It's a bit different. There's a story behind it.
I'd like to say that I'm gonna, I think this is E-type signal red, but I actually don't, because that's just me being flashy, because it's not.
Okay.
I think it's
makes a good story though.
It does make a good story, because it's a Jaguar.
If you're at a Jaguar event and you open up your hood or your bonnet, depending on where you're from.
Do you want to know what colour I really think it is?
Go on.
Red. So there you go. Come on.
Right, let's move on.
Moving on.